Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Quantum GK. I'm your host, Donna Reyes. And this evening, we have two very special guests. They are community organizers. They have been involved in Gawad Kalinga since 2005 and 2008, but they are also actively involved in other Filipino associations in the Tampa Bay area. Please help me welcome Rocky Barrido and Joey Omila.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, hello.
Mabuhay, Gawad Kalinga listeners.
Hello, hello. Good evening. Thank you for
Good
joining
evening,
us.
Donna. Good evening, Donna.
Thank you for joining us this evening. And to everyone who's watching us this evening, thank you for making it a habit to join us in this weekly Kwentuhan on Kwentong GK. So tonight, we're going to know a little bit more about Tito Joey and Tito Rocky, who are both officers of GK Tampa. And Tito Rocky is the area director, and Tito Joey is the press relations officer and events coordinator. So let's start with Tito Rocky. How long have you been with Gawad Kalinga?
Well, I started in 2008 during the meeting. Brother June Rapinyan, I called him brother because we are both couples for Christ. So he invited me to attend the meeting. And during that meeting, I met Tito Tony Miloto and Manong Boy Montelivano. And as an Ilonggo, right away, I was amazed and I was really very comfortable with them. And after the meeting, after the presentation and after the meeting, I was able to, chat with them, and we become friends right away. So that was the first meeting, and since then I was involved in Gawad Kalinga until now. Yes.
How about Tito Joey? How long have you been with GK?
Oh my God. I was a former Bayanihan dancer. And then sometime about the late 1990s, probably 1998, 1999, we had a mini reunion of Bayanihan dancers living in America, sa San Francisco, Donna. And then that evening, one of the evenings of the reunion schedule was a presentation by one of our former Bayanihan dancer whose husband was very active with GK. I never heard of GK before. So we were all glued to the TV when he did a presentation of what GK was. And I said, wow, how nice. And I didn't know that a few years after I was elected as the new president of the Bayanihan Dancers Alumni for America, Canada, and Europe. And so I said, that's a nice patriotic feeling if I can gather all the dancers to contribute and feel patriotic, which is one of our slogan. And I was surprised, yeah. So in early 2003, we started the project under my presidency. And eventually in 2007, when we celebrated our 50th anniversary, Golden Jubilee of Bayanihan Dancers in the Philippines, our visit to our village of 59 homes, which we solicited the fans, was groundbreaking, and Helena Benitez, the founder Bayanihan, was there. We had Rondalia playing as we're building houses and painting houses. It was great fun. And that was our involvement, the Bayanihan dancers with GK, and that was my involvement. At the same time, simultaneously, Tampa GK, through Couples of Christ, was being formed. So when I came back to Tampa, Dr. June Raffinan and Rocky called me and they said, we really want you to be involved since you're already passionate of GK. So the rest is history, Donna.
So you're both very you're both very ingrained in the community, right? Organizing, mobilizing people, in the Filipino associations that you're both involved in. So what compelled you? Why would you add GK as another, like your involvement in the Bayanihan alumni and the PhilFest group, Tito Rocky. like those are not enough. I'm pretty sure you're both very busy just trying to manage your, you're both leading those organizations as well. And so, why add GK into, your responsibilities? I mean, you have other, personal things to do as well, I would imagine.
Yeah, Rocky, you want to go first?
Yes, sure. Yeah, that's a very good question, Donna. Thank you for asking that. Yes, we are so busy. Joe and I, we are so active with Philippine Cultural Foundation, Inc. And as a board member of that organization, mother organization, we call it, because under the PCFI, we call it PCFI, there are about 20 organizations in Tampa Bay that joins PCFI, and that's mission. And when I met Tito Tony Miloto and Manong Boy Montelibano, it just, before Gawad Kalinga, we are already helping the Philippines in our own way. And this is the opportunity to, get involved back in the Philippines with, reputable organization that we can support. And so we can help our kababayans in the Philippines. And Gawad Kalinga was the perfect fit because not only it's a Filipino nonprofit organization and a very reputable one. The first time I heard Gawad Kalinga actually I was skeptical, but when I heard Tito Tony Miloto speak and Manong Boy Montelibano, I know that I'm in the right direction if I get involved with Gawad Kalinga to help in the Philippines. Yeah.
That's a great point, Tito Rocky. One thing also that I loved about GK is that it's very tangible, right? You see,
Yes.
You really see the fruits of of your hard work, of what you're, of your of what you organize, and you raise resources and everything, and you see it come alive in the houses, in the livelihood programs, and all the other programs what Kaninga has. How about you, Titi Joey?
Me, well, after our project, I couldn't believe it that we did it within 2 years and made 57 homes and even built a chapel and then a multi-purpose center. And now, right now, our village in Tres Martires for the Bayanihan, we're building our guest room, we call it, apartments. There are 3 apartments so that when we visit, we can be with our villagers. Pero I was so ignited when Tony Miloto came at that time. Of course, they were still Couple for Christ and Gawad Kalinga combined. And how humble the person was. And I saw the people that that was being qualified by Gawad Kalinga in Manila. We are partners for Bayanihan. At that time, we had partners. So I don't know how the setup is now, but we had the Ateneo students as our partners. And when we met all the recipients of our homes, I mean, you just can't not appreciate how happy their faces was and all that. So it gets to your blood, whether you like it or not. And then, of course, we have lunch, and Tony Miloto, so humble and nice, and starts talking and telling us that this is that, and so humble and so forth. So it ignited more. So from that time on, Gawad Kalinga was in my blood for whatever reason. Now, you were asking, Donna, that what made us add Gawad Kalinga into our hectic schedule already in Tampa with all our Phil Fest and all our fundraising. We built a cultural center. Gawad Kalinga is and still is the only organization in our blood and into Tito Rocky's blood and Tito June and all our advocates and members here in offices that is not to be compared to what we're doing in Tampa. It's something that we are so proud that we are part of helping the poor, although we know we're not solving the problem, but we're helping the poor in our own way. So we got skeptics, and we get, up to now, we still get the negative people. Why do you have to get involved with GK and all? We said, it's okay, whether you like it or not, we're involved. And so far we have built already 9 villages, It was
Wow, I
only
did
like
not
4.
know you built that many.
Yeah, It was
Nice.
only 4 villages. We were so proud of 4 villages. Not bad for a small group in Tampa, Florida, which is very hard to convince because there's 23 organizations here, and they still don't know what we do, who we are. But our little sponsors and donors gave us 4 villages, and suddenly, out of nowhere, this American guy married to a Filipina, Mr. and Mrs. Curry, just said we have $100,000, and so another 5 villages was built. So we have a total of 9 villages.
That's
So
amazing.
the Lord, whether the Lord is with us, and so we just said, "Holy cow!" But anyway, it's nice, and we continue doing it. Rocky is very passionate. Me, I'm very passionate helping the Tampa group with all the talents that I can help them with. But also, I'm helping my village that I built. I don't forget them, because sometimes we forget our village. Once they built, that's it. We built another village and we forget. I in my own little way. And who do you think I gather to donate and
Banan.
give me some money? It's Rocky and the whole Tampa team. Recently we formed the Bainian Dancers in Manila. Said, Joey, we just formed a Philippine dance group in our village. So I said, "Oh, wow, that's great. So you're teaching them folk dance?" They said, "Yes, but we don't have money to buy costumes." "Oh, don't worry. How much do you need?" 2,000. So where do I go? GK Tampa Bay. They cannot say no to me. And so Rocky and everybody and Tita Emma and to the June, they all protest. Within 3 days, I got the 2,000, sent it there. And right now, bida ang pandemic, hindi pa nila nagagamit yung mga bagong costume, but we have costume for our dance group. These are from the kids of my village. So we hope to duplicate that. Rocky, you have to tell Donna your new project.
Yeah. Well, this is not my new project. This is a project of the Tampa Bay. We have a very passionate group of people here. Although we cannot get into 23 organizations, as Joey said, but when we need help, when we need volunteers, we always get volunteers. So we have many fundraising here in Tampa Bay, and that's why we were able to raise some funds to support some programs in the Philippines. Starting with the biggest was the earthquake. We were able to raise a lot of funds to help Bohol and Cebu. And after that, the Yolanda, Tampa Bay raised more than, I don't want to say numbers, but just to let the Tampa Bay know that we raised more than 50,000 and we helped, the victims of Yolanda and Leyte and, surrounding areas in there. So and then we were able to, have 2 villages for the community of Tampa Bay. And one was built in around 2002 in Mandawi, Cebu. And right now we have Ormoc Leyte, and that's completed and it's occupied. That's 20 houses. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank the supporters here in Tampa Bay and the donors and those people that always support us and attend our events. Thank you, and I'm sure the 20 families in Ormoc Leyte are very thankful of what your donation are, because it makes them comfortable, makes them have a very comfortable house for themselves and their family. And as we understand, they are victims of Yolanda still. And Yolanda happened in 2003, 13 or 3, whatever. I forgot. But anyway, the after so many years, they have houses. So, and not only that, we are building right now the multi-purpose center for not only for our community, and Ormoc, but also for the surrounding areas if they want to use it. It will be available, but we will there one day if the pandemic is over, and we will talk to the people over there how we're gonna start a program using our multipurpose center. We are thinking about helping the students over there, and using it for religious gatherings, or and meetings for the community. So we are also helping the farmers in Cabintan right now. We are helping around, I think, 15 farmers that wanted to plant repolyo and pitsay, but they don't have funds. So we fundraise here in Tampa Bay, and we were able to raise funds for them to start the program. So we are very excited, and we are very excited to go to Ormoc pilgrimage there as a group in Tampa Bay, and so we can meet our recipients, and we can further make some plans about for the future.
Well, since you're thinking and acknowledging people who have been helping with the different projects of GK Tampa Bay, let me read some of the comments and greetings from our Facebook page. Hold on, dami na pala. From Tito June Rafinyan. Congratulations, Rocky and Joey. Great, Tito June. And then from June Dumantay, greetings from Tampa. From Dulce Rivera, good evening, GK Heroes and Advocates. Good evening. Thank you for tuning in. From Ana Victoria Salamat. Hi, Ana. Greetings from the Philippines. Hashtag Seed Philippines. She's from Seed. Greetings from Eva Domantay. Yay, Tampa team. Lakas ng support ng Tampa. Tera Tolentino, I think she's my aunt. Hi, Tita Per. I invited everyone all of my friends to like GKUSA. Thank you, Tita Per.
Tita Pearl, kamusta na?
For liking and also for tuning in, for watching us this evening. From Dulce Rivera, nabasa ko na po yun. From Tito June Rafinyan, Tampa GK's goal is to share it more to different organizations. Joey and Rocky is the best connect. We are blessed. Thank you. From Maricel Villanueva, Rocky and the Tampa Bay team continued to nurture a relationship, not just with the ground team, but the families they help, treating them like brothers and sisters. Oh my gosh, ang dami. I think this episode actually has, I think, one of the most most number of comments. From Tita June, wait lang, nabasa ko na yun. Umaatras eh. Hold on. From Tita Carol Tulud, glad to hear from you, Joey and Rocky. Best regards from your GK family in Texas. I love this, right? We all have our own groups in our respective areas, but we're really one big GK family, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Yes. Tita Carol.
Tita Carol, thank you for watching us. Yes.
Okay, so eto, sabi ni Maricel Villanueva, nagtutulungan talaga kayo, Joey. Thank you for your love for GANs, heritage and culture. Love of the country is that common thread. From Tito Boy Montelibano, Jose Maria Montelibano, dear friends and patrons, it is my 20th anniversary with Gawad Kalinga, and literally the journey has never been a yesterday to me. It was and continues to be a miraculous unfolding of a vision from the heart to the hands. It amazes me no end how beautiful that world of caring and sharing is, despite the pain, misery, and hopelessness that naturally afflicts the primary focus of our mission, the impoverished and marginalized. I have witnessed firsthand from fellow laborers in the same vineyard a nobility born of deep conviction, a heart sworn to care for those in need, and a proven capacity to endure, to never give up. In my 20th anniversary year, I would like to honor that nobility that heart and that endurance, like the proverbial Spartan 300, the core of workers, volunteers, and partners have kept the cause alive and dynamic in all kinds of circumstances. Today, it is them I honor, you and I, whom I honor for having been part of that core. Today, too, I appeal for the core. Wow. Happy
Wow.
30th anniversary, Tito Boy.
Manong Boy, hello. Yes.
Meron pa. Lisa Malasige, Biglete, Lisa, and Arnel are here. Congratulations. Yon, dami. Joey, talk about book project daw. Not only we feed the hungry, but
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Rocky forgot to mention it. Yeah. Um, now that we have 9 villages that one way or the other GK Tampa Bay helped build, we have our members here, Ed and Susan Bilbao had their own village in Cebu. Dr. Raffinans had their own village in Ormoc. Tapos, Dr. Raffinan, when he was president of the Philippine Medical Association of America, built their own village in Cebu, Alto Mandawi. And of course, the Caris, who were very, very good donors recently with $100,000, added 5 more villages. And so we had this friend of ours who used to be a member of the library organization here in Tampa, who moved to Rhode Island. And she said, Joey, you know very well, I have connections on books that you want. And so I said, do you think you can supply beautiful books for the kids and teenagers and adults to our Gawad Kalinga villages? And so she said, what is Gawad Kalinga? So we started talking about that. And then she said, sure, I'd love to donate books to all your villages and make sure that they have a small room where they keep the books for the kids to borrow or to use or to read. And so that's a new project of GK Tampa Bay headed by Rocky. And I'm just an instrument with my friend who's doing it. But it's going to be donated by the Howard and Bates Library Network from Rhode Island. So they'll be donating thousands and thousands of books to all our 9 villages. And I'm trying to be very nice to her, smiling to her every day, because I said, we had 2,500 villages. Maybe you want to donate to all our villages so that the kids have books. These are books from Disney, coloring books. These are brand new, not secondhand. And so that would be monumental if we succeed. But right now, we're going to succeed with a library to all our multi-purposes, if ever there is one in every village that we have. And we don't know the name yet, but I was telling Rocky, why don't we call it Aklat para sa GK, which could be used to all the other GKs in the future. So yan ang aming project at the moment ng GK Tampa Bay, our famous claim on helping the other villages. Who knows? It's a long dream, but my friend is very willing. She said, Joey, I get 13,000 books a year donated by libraries and Barnes and Noble. If I can do it, we will do it. All you have to do is come up with the shipping. And can you imagine, Donna? All our GK villages will have a library for the kids to read about Cinderella and Mickey Mouse and all that. Tapos the adult romance and fiction story, and maybe eventually historical books about the world, not necessarily the Philippines. Ang galing, di ba? Thanks to
yes,
GK
Ito.
Tampa Bay.
And for the shipping, you might want to partner with the
LBC. Yes.
companies that are, because I think if they don't, they have to ship a certain date, right? And usually they have some space that
Wow.
probably donate. You know what I'm saying? Because I think the way it works is, and don't quote me on this, I know I'm lying. So if there's a shipping company, nananawagan po kami sa inyo.
That's true.
Or when we had
Pero ito, Don, can you believe that when I talked to her and I said, I first, of course, put my Munting Paraiso in Trece Martires, the Bayanihan village. And she said, Joey, do you think I could send 3 boxes there? I said, please, but give me a week to get some money for the shipping. She said, we have a special rate, like Donna said, $65 anywhere in the Philippines. I said, oh, I can get that. Said, no, 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 no. We will pay for the 3 boxes for you. And I said, but we have a new second village in Ormoc. He said, okay, we will pay for the 5 boxes. But after that, it's all yours, $65 per box. Wow. So we go quiet first because until it's official, then we can offer it to the other villages under the name of GK Tampa Bay. Diba? Galing,
Thank you,
ano?
Joey.
Yeah,
That's a
that's
big,
Yeah,
amazing.
Rocky.
big project. Yeah.
Head
That's
on,
amazing.
Rocky.
Let me read
Well,
some more. There's a couple more. Oh, go ahead, Tito Rocky. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, for the shipping, I, you know, I recall during the Yolanda that we used LBC, and LBC went to PCFI with their 2 trucks, and there's a lot of people that were donating, and we end up having 80 boxes, and we shipped to the Philippines for the Yolanda victims.
Yeah.
Wow.
Through ABS-CBN. ABS-CBN is the one that received the boxes, and ABS-CBN is the one that distributes it. I mean, to the Philippines.
Yeah.
In the Philippines.
Wow. That's nice.
Before I forget, I mentioned some programs that we have, but I forgot to mention about our ongoing, fundraising right now. The raffles, and we have the raffles that will be drawn on July 4th. So I'm appealing to people here in Tampa Bay and maybe beyond, that we still have a few of our tickets left, and if they can help us with that, the proceeds of that drawing of the raffle tickets, the proceeds all will go to Ormoc in our projects there. So especially and most especially for the multipurpose, because the multipurpose is ongoing and we still lack of funds, but we are very aggressive to proceed with it, and hoping and knowing that God and our constituents here in Tampa Bay and maybe in the US that we can appeal and reach, help us. This is for the benefit of the people in Ormoc, especially those students that cannot afford internet. As we know right now, they are using modules, and they need internet. And what we are thinking of is installing an internet. Hopefully we can reach to Globe or Smart, that they can help us have a strong internet in our multipurpose building, so the students can benefit.
Okay, do you know anything about the book? June just told me, please talk about the book. I am not aware of the book. What book are we talking about?
I think that's what you just shared, no? About the books that you're distributing.
Oh, that you mean the yeah.
Yeah,
I'm misunderstanding them. That saying talk about the books. I already did.
yeah. Okay.
The book project. Yeah, we already talked about that. Okay, I got you. Akala ko there's a book that I don't. Sorry, Donna. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Okay. So we've got a few more messages here. Jerry Dompor is watching from Temple Terrace. All the best to Jay. From Tita Josie Disterhoff, an inspiring accomplishment of Tampa. Tito Boy, sabi, I almost read his whole letter. Thank you, and really love the Tampa GK group. Nonoy and Emma and children are family, literally, with the number of times they have lent me their bedrooms.
Manong Boy, there. Sorry, we're not talking so much nowadays because of the pandemic, I guess.
From Tita Carol Tulad, GK Tampa, you continue to inspire us with your dedication and passion for our GK work. From Dulce Rivera, hope to see you soon. Kuya Boy, ingat and God bless. From
On.
Rani
Yeah.
South, I started volunteering with GK in 2001. That was in GK Eversley, Mandaue. Then when I moved to Negros Oriental, I continued my passion to volunteer for GK Negros Oriental. Okay. From Maricel, thank you, Tito. I guess this is for Tito Boy, for doing this on your 20th anniversary. Let us take care of the GK full-time workers, especially during these days. Let's look after those who work with and serve the marginalized. Okay. I think that's it. So let me switch gears here a little bit. So I've met Tito Joey years ago. You probably don't remember, but it was
In
one.
Chicago? In Chicago?
No,
When I heard,
in
where
Tampa, I think.
oh, really?
I think
Oh my
so.
God.
Yeah, you don't.
Oh
You
my
probably don't
God.
remember.
I thought the name was familiar, and I said, Donna. I met a Donna before.
And
Oh
then we
my
met
God.
again, maybe in Chicago. I don't know if we met in Chicago, but anyway, so both of you I met at the GK conference in October 2019, I believe, which of course hosted. And I have to tell you that I was really impressed by how you organized and mobilized, people and resources. And that evening was really, it's really hard to pull off an event like that. As Tita Joey, of course, would know, being, the events coordinator, right? And I have been doing events myself. I actually worked for GMA Network as an events manager. So I can just imagine
Oh,
I did. So, so I know the kind of work that you guys put together, that you have to put in to pull off an event like that. And it was really very impressive. Now, I also noticed that there were quite a few younger Phil-Ams that were involved in they were in the conference, like in the conference itself, in the sessions and everything. I remember, meeting Abby Hamilton
mhm,
there as well, who I think also leads or help, mobilize the youth, right? And
mhm.
in the program at the Bayanihan Center, which is just
Yeah.
beautiful. So how do you, and this is also for the benefit of the other GK groups, right? Who may be having some challenges in enticing younger generation Phil-Ams to be involved in, Filipino associations, maybe in general, but specifically also for Gawad Kalinga. How do you get them involved? How do you
Mhm.
get them interested in what we do? Anyone of you?
Right. What from what Rocky, you want to say something first? Yeah,
You
then
go
I'll
first.
tell
You go first,
Donna.
Joey. You go first. Yes.
Yeah, Donna, I know what you're talking about. Is what you witnessed was that's what I thought. I met you at the Hope Ball, the first one that we did when we had all the organization come in, like parading into the cultural center, including the youth. Basically, we are lucky here in Tampa Bay because I one of the GK advocates and members is also the choreographer of the Philippine dance company we call Philippine Performing Arts Company of Tampa Bay. And so when we invited all the different organizations in that event that you saw and witnessed called the Hope Ball, the first Hope Ball, I choreographed a way they all came in different organizations. And then if you remember, I choreographed different outfits from Tiboli to Muslim to Katipunan and all that went on stage before our presentation, that we were all united to help eradicate poverty in the Philippines. Now, how did we involve it? Well, I'm just so lucky that I have a dance group, and so I'm in the position to have been able to explain to them what Gawad Kalinga is. And it's so fascinating to see their faces when you explain to them what they can do, and most of them being born here in America, what they can do to help the homeland of their parents and their grandparents, and how excited they become and how devoted they want to help. And that's how we convince them. And of course, I was lucky because they're in the dance group, and most of the dance group members I have are American born Filipinos who are university students and high school students. And so every time I teach them a dance, I always explain to them what is the history of the dance, why they have to wear that costume, why they have to look stupid in performing it and all that, and why they have to wear a G-string, try to influence the men, the American born, but then they get involved with it, and then you inject GK. And we said, you should be proud of your great grandparents, your parents' homeland, and GK is the best way to go about it. And they have been so anxious to go back to the Philippines and actually see what GK Tampa Bay has been doing and will be doing until the pandemic came. And so that's how we did it, through the cultural connection. We got the involvement of the youth. And so Abigail, with whom you met, is now Dr. Abigail Hamilton.
Yes.
She's an advisor and psychologist and all that. And she is our youth minister for our foundation here. So ang galing-galing niya mag-advise sa mga youth. And she always injects Gawad Kalinga. And they said, you want to feel proud being Filipinos, you have an identity, but you can't use it here in America. So use it where your parents come from and your grandparents. And of course, we take the opportunity with Rocky's leadership, and Dr. June Raffinan were so lucky to being the chairman of GK USA, and tell them. So we were planning with Tony Elias to join his next group to the Philippines in 2020.
Nice.
As you can see, because of the pandemic,
yeah.
we couldn't go forward. But we hope that will be the dream, because with the GK Tampa Bay so aggressive, the parents, the current members, I'm sure we can influence the youth. Like Miami are. We met the Miami people in Texas 2-3 years ago. They're so involved with GK, and we said we can combine one Tampa and Miami and go to the Philippines, and they will be first hand. And we've had sent already ambassadors in the past from the Phil Social Club who were the pageant winners, and they went there. Melissa Barrido went there, and she enjoyed Palawan very much. And Christina Bigletti, our Miss Phil, this is the pageant part who supports GK. Kaya lang hindi natuloy because of the pandemic. But Christina is ready and packed up and ready to go to see the villages and see and help build it. Ang galing-galing talaga.
Well, there are two things that I take away from that, Tito. I think it's really important for not only young Philams, but even all of us, right, to understand who we are as a people. And even through dances, for example, you can explain our history basically, right, in the costumes and all of that, and how even though we're all Filipino. We're all Filipinos, we are also diverse as a people, right? So that's we're able to share that with the young generation of Phil-Amps who are involved in the dances. But also at the same time, not everyone is a choreographer like you, right?
That's true.
But that's a very special talent. Bayanihan, no.
I know.
But at the same time, but what I take away from that though is that is to involve the younger generation Philams, make sure that they have something tangible that they can do, that they can actually enjoy. And maybe that's dancing. Maybe it's something. Maybe, like in Chicago, for example, like we have nurses who are passionate about, about providing health, right, in the GK communities. And then we have a an events, Everett Eco, for example, he's very much involved in, in the events here in Chicago. So, that's another avenue that he can do. So basically, like, looking at just having that self-awareness, right? Of knowing what we enjoy doing, what gifts we have and what talents we have that we can share. And I think for us who are, organizers and mobilizers of GK is to, is for us to recognize those talents and, and special gifts so that we can actively get, the younger generation involved.
Sure.
Rocky, do you want to add something?
Yes, about the diversity, and we're very lucky here in Tampa Bay that we have the PCFI, and we have the religious group Santo Nino that we have also, in the whole USA. This is the only place in Tampa Bay that has a shrine of Santo Nino because of the Filipino community here, led by brother Ed and Susan Bilbao, and of course the Rapinians. Um, well, we have USF university that are very involved with Gawad Kalinga. They are our members and supporters, and also Christine Biglietti, the daughter of Lisa, our what's called this secretary, is also involved, and she's promoting Gawad Kalinga in UF, University of Florida. So, and not only that, I remember in 2010 we have a sports festival, which is organized by the Filipino Basketball Association in partnership with Gawad Kalinga. Of course, I'm one of the commissioner of the FBA after Sunny Mora, and I passed it to Emil Cruz, and we held the sports festival, and the highlight of it was the boxing of Manny Pacquiao in Bayanihan Center. So it was well attended. We even invited the PBA legends headed by Abby King. They were like 7 or 8 legends that came here to play against our local team. So involving with Gawad Kalinga and being active with Gawad Kalinga is not only taking out your time, but also it's fun. It's fun because with so many years that I was involved with Gawad Kalinga, it gives me satisfaction of and pride of being the one that helped instead of me being helped. And it's what are we in this world is to not only for ourselves but also for other people, and especially those people that are really needs our help. Us Christians, us Catholics, us, what are we told by by the sermons of the priest every Sunday? We need to help. Especially now that the pandemic is hitting us. Even here in the US, we really have a hard time coping up with it. But I know and I understand in the Philippines it's worse. And not only with Gawad Kalinga, I was trying to help or helping, but also I'm also helping some groups in the Philippines that directly involved in the street people or dwellers, or we call it homeless in Quezon City. So I have brother Ed Bilones that I'm trying to communicate and help, so he can help those whatever I can send. I know that he is using it to help the homeless in Quezon City. Yeah, so I'm appealing right now with people that are watching this, we need to get involved, because we cannot do it by a few people. It never will impact, but it can help, but never be impact. We know that our mission is eradicating poverty in 2024, or at least that's our statement on our mission. But we know it will never happen because we don't have the control of it. God has ultimate control of it, and God allows this to happen. And it's very frustrating, especially probably with Tito Tony Miloto, because he made that statement. But we will continue to fight. We will not sit and and cry, because our mission will not happen in 2024. But we're here. We're still helping.
Yeah. And if we all just share, what we do and why it's so important, to, like you said, Tito, this pandemic, right? We may all be in the same storm, but we're not on the same boat. What do I
Yeah.
like? Our situation is much better than the situation of the people in the Philippines. Over there, just talked to somebody who, was infected with COVID. He was tested COVID positive, and I asked him, "Well, do you wear masks? Like, do you make sure that you sanitize?" He said, "Yes." I said, "But do you go out?" And he said, "Well, that's the thing, buhay or hanap buhay." That just breaks my heart. I was like, they really do not have a choice. They have to go out because they have to feed their family, right? So our situation is really, we may be in the same pandemic, but our situations are not the same, right?
That's
Or
true.
are definitely, in a much, much dire situation. I'm going to switch gear here a little bit again, because I'm really curious, right? I know, I'm very impressed by how you work with the different organizations, like Tito Joey said earlier. There were representatives from different organizations who were part of the dance, right, at the Hope Ball. And so, how do you, and I think you also alluded to, sometimes people are nega star. Mga nega star. May mga negative, right? Some people are negative, not as supportive, right? Um, how do you work with that? How do you work with the different, like, 23 organizations, I think you said?
Yeah.
And I understand this isn't really not only Gawad Kalinga, like the Bayanihan Center, that whole, I guess, compound complex there was built out of people or different Filipino organizations working together. And I got you, that is such a unique accomplishment that only, at least from my stint at GMA Network, I worked with different Filipino communities in key cities around the world, outside the Philippines, obviously, because I was with GMA International. And I've never seen anything like that, like what you guys, what the Filipino associations do in the Tampa Bay area. But you having firsthand experience working with those 23 organizations, and having them involved in the work of Gawad Kalinga, how do you do it? And how do you deal with the negatives?
Well, I would answer that, Rocky, if Donna doesn't mind. Um, our foundation, it's called the Philippine Cultural Foundation, was founded way back in 2001, and by 2004, we were able to manage to acquire, without any funding, it's just fundraising and fundraising, 10 acres property.
Mhm.
And then by 2009, we built a most beautiful Philippine Cultural Center, the one and only in the whole USA,
Mhm.
in its size and magnitude and beauty.
Right.
And that was because the secret is we involve all the organizations. And so that is the secret of the foundation. And because of that secret, not secret, but I'm saying our technique of how we did it, we had skeptics, You call it like negative, skeptics, we call it. And we had the people who believe in. But when we started having the organizations believing in what we meant, and then they saw to make a long story short, they saw what we did with all the money we did for the fundraising, that we spent it and not putting it in banks. I mean, I know what I'm talking because I have done speaking engagement in Chicago, in Los Angeles, on how we did it. Exactly your question. How
Mhm.
did you do it with so many organizations and so many skeptics? And we just said, well, number one is if they didn't want to join us, the door was open, they can leave, but they will be left behind. Maiiwanan sila. But
Yeah.
we are determined to accomplish. So we have accomplished through the Philippine Cultural Foundation. So the same with GK. When we introduced GK, there were skeptic organizations. They said, ano na naman yan? Bago na naman yan, ganyan fundraising. But then our secret with the foundation was give them importance, give them the center stage.
Mhm.
So you write to them, you email to them like we would really want the Bisaya organization to be represented because you are such a big group and it's very important. We cannot go forward without the involvement of the Bisaya. And so you get them. Then you have the Filipino American, which is general. And then they will say, yeah, but what is it? What can we do? We don't want to donate. We said, no, we don't want you to donate. We just want you to be present. And guess what? You will be represented beautifully. And if you're not there, we are incomplete. Now you're
Mhm.
giving them importance again. You
Yeah.
mean we are important? Yeah, we said. So it goes on and on and on. So that's why we got all of them parading with their flags, and we tell them, please bring your banners that you are this and that. No, no donation, no nothing. Just come, join us in the flag raising with Tony Miloto, and then we glamorize it by having the Philippine choral group at 7 a.m. singing the national anthems with all
Wow.
the president. And we said all presidents has to be around the flagpole to sing the national. Oh yes, I'll be there. I'll be there. So now you got them. And then we have the Hope Ball, which went the whole day. And you tell them you're gonna coming in about 10:30 for your organization. Oh, you mean we're gonna parade in? Yes, because we will have all the VIPs of GK, the founders, Tony Miloto. They want to see that you support us. Even if you don't have to donate nothing, just come and join us. Before we knew it. So that was the start. After that, the success is GK USA. So that's that we're still doing now with the youth. Going back to your question, how do we involve the youth? We can see a lot of leaders now. They got the feel of the GK movement.
Mhm.
And well, I'm sure Rocky will agree with me. You know, Rocky's children, there are three of them. They're all GK passionate advocates. And then
Wow.
you have of course Christina Bigletti, who's our Miss Philippines Earth from one of our pageants here, who was also our GK ambassador. She's passionate. We can see GK Tampa Bay going on and on and on, even after our time. So it's nice.
Wow,
Nice
that's
talk.
amazing. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
Pe-
very
Peter
nice.
Rocky, you have anything to add?
Yeah. Yes, I want to address about the nega stars because
I just named them. I just
yeah,
said,
that
they're the nega stars.
yeah, that's what that's well, anyway, I think we have approached some organizations and associations here in Tampa Bay, and one thing I understand from them is the all organizations that are here, aside from supporting the PCFI or the foundation that we have here, um, they have also their own mission to the Philippines. Like the Ilocanos, they have their own mission. The Bicolanos, they have their own mission to help in the Philippines. So I guess if we ask them to volunteer, they are there. But when we ask them to contribute as an organization, it's a different story. You know what I'm saying? Because they have their own mission too. So they are not mega stars, but they are also, uh, have their own mission that they
Yes.
prioritize. But they are helping, and I'm very grateful that organizations here in Tampa Bay, when we have a big event in Gawad Kalinga, they are there. Hope Bowl, Sports Fest, any
Casino.
concerts, casino, they are there to help. That's why we were able to build two, villages in the Philippines by
Ooh.
the community money, not family that are donating. Well, we can congratulate brother, Jun Rapinyan, because his village is almost done in Ormoc also, and that will be part of our pilgrimage on August.
Donna, we forgot. Rocky,
But
we
I don't
forgot to
think,
mention.
yeah,
Yeah, Rocky, we forgot to mention one of our retired priests here who has been supporting the Philippine community.
Mhm.
Rocky and Dr. Raffinam influenced him to build a whole village under his
Brother
name.
Ed,
Oh,
Brother
Father
wow.
Ed,
Mullen, Father Mullen,
Brother,
Father Mullen.
yeah,
Oh, he was the
Brother Ed,
one who officiated the mass, right? At
yes,
conference.
Yes,
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 yes, yes,
I
yes, Father
remember. Oh,
Mullen. Yeah.
wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, he was so touched with GK Tampa Bay through the leadership of Rocky and June that he said, I want to build my own village. And he has his own village. Amazing, amazing.
Yes.
he's a
All
very
right.
good
So,
friend, very good friend of Ed and Susan Bilbao. So just to add up to it, yeah.
And
all
we
right.
also had,
So,
we also one of the priests of the local
Saint Paul,
Catholic Church here,
yeah, Saint
who
Paul.
went to the Philippines with our artist advocate GK to show him all the villages that we built. Father Bill Swagers, unbelievable.
Yeah.
He went there, and we're waiting. He may not be in the same position as Father Mullins, but he was so touched that he is convinced as a GK advocate for GK Tampa Bay.
all right.
Galing, no?
Well,
Galing, galing.
Yeah.
yeah. Oh my gosh. We can go on for we can do
I
one
know.
more hour of this
Huh?
because you guys have so much to share. I mean, Tampa Bay is such GK Tampa Bay is such a dynamic organization, and you've been doing a lot of things. You continue to do a lot of projects, and there's so many lives that will change because of that, and I'm sure your lives have changed as well in the process. So at this point, I just wanted to invite you to share any final message for your Tampa Bay group and also for the GK family, GK USA in general. Any one of you can.
Rocky, you want to start?
Okay, I'm appealing and inviting our listeners and to spread the word that Gawad Kalinga is an organization, a Filipino organization in the Philippines and around the world, here in the U.S. and this is the organization that we are not perfect, and nobody is perfect, but the heart of this organization is to help the poor in the Philippines, and no one has any interest but but for the community. So I'm talking about Tito Tony Miluto. He is so selfless. Even people will ask him to run for office in the government. He'll never do that because his focus is to help the poor or the needy in the Philippines, and that's why we are following him. The next generations of leaders in the Philippines are following him. No one has a personal interest but just to help. We are not perfect. We have a lot of things that we need to to work on it, but sometimes it's difficult. We are involved for so many years, and sometimes there are times that, well, I want to focus to my family. I neglect that. But our family is also involved, in Gawad Kalinga. So it's still a family thing, and I hope that, others that can and have time and have the resources to help, our country needs us, we are okay here in the US, and we are very thankful to the Lord that he gave us the opportunity to, change our lives, because if not in the USA, if not in this country, in America, we are the recipients also of Gawad Kalinga in the Philippines. So I just want to remind us. One friend of mine told me like, hey, Rocky, no, we cannot solve the problems, of the world. It's true. But if we work together, we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tito Ra. That's right. I mean, no one person can change the world, right? It has to be a concerted effort by everyone to, to lift up those people who are in need. Tito Joey? I think you're muted, Tito Joey. You're on mute.
Sorry. Thank you. Unmute. Okay, you can hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. We can hear you.
Thank you. First of all, Donna, thank you very much for inviting us to be in your fabulous show. I've watched probably 6 or 7
Oh, wow.
episodes.
Thank you.
I love it. And it's so down to earth and just talking about everybody. And it's so interesting because we want to hear from Texas and we want to hear from New York and all that. But thank you so much for inviting us. All I can say for the people who are listening, and including our team, GK Tampa Bay, what we're doing is something that we will never regret when our time comes. And I hope that we pass it on and talk it over with our families and friends of what we're doing so that they can carry it on eventually when we're gone. And I'm just so happy. I know there's a lot of skeptics. There's a lot of negative publicity in Manila about GK. But from GK Tampa Bay, it doesn't stop us because we don't have to be concerned about what the whole Philippines talk about GK. We just want to be concerned about what GK Tampa Bay is producing and supporting and helping. And that's fine. We're okay with that. And we're very happy. And I hope with the Lord's intercession that we will still be here as strong as ever as what GK Tampa Bay is today. And with all our team, which are so passionate, Donna, I mean, I really hope that we can get the young ones to continue what we're doing. And all I can say is, mabuhay to Tony Miloto who started this end, and help us all, Lord, to continue what we're doing. Thank you, Donna.
Thank you. Thank you, Tito Joey. And the most important thing, the amazing thing is that you've already planted the seeds for, for the future generations to follow and, pick up from where we left off, right? And, the work will continue for as long as there are people like you, like both of you who care about the lives of the poor and taking them out of poverty. There will be, people who will come and and join and grow our work in that way. So pahabol na message from June Dumantay. Tampa Bay is so blessed to have Rocky and Joey as leaders of our GK Tampa. Thank you for your leadership and dedication in helping our poorest of the poor families in the Philippines. God bless you both and your loved ones. And to June Rapinian, congratulations, entire Tampa GK team. A blessing to the least of our brothers. All right. So thank you so much again for joining me this evening. And it's always a pleasure for me to talk to comrades, to fellow GK workers who love the poor. And I am just really impressed with the work that you do in GK Tampa. And I'm sure those people who are those people from other GK groups also have learned so much in what you generously shared this evening. And to everyone who joined us tonight, thank you so much for joining us. Join us again next week, Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific, for another episode of Kwentong GK. Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night, Donna. Good night, Christine.